Hello and welcome back. Well, while Sir Robin Day has been talking to you on Question Time, the phone lines here have been busy since we came off the air a little less than an hour ago. Now, first, let me say thank you very much for all your calls. The lines have been busy a lot of the time. If they've been engaged, we're sorry. But already there have been results. So,
well, first, let's take the murder of Caroline Osborne in Leicester. The police appealed to hear from you if you knew Caroline or if you may have seen her on her last walk on Aylstone Meadows almost exactly a year ago. Beyond this corner and from the other side of the canal, another witness caught a glimpse of someone, possibly Caroline, with a man running after her. That sighting was at 6:50 p.m, and if that was her, it was the last time she was seen alive. Well, Superintendent Stagg, have you had anyone who might recognise either of the two men friends we showed?
We've had one or two interesting calls, especially in relation to the olive skin man, and obviously we're following those up at the present time.
And you said you were looking for 25 men who you know were on the meadows on that day and who still haven't come forward. Any news on those?
No, unfortunately, we've had no calls in connection with that. And again, I would make an appeal to the public that if they know anybody who's down there, then give us a ring, please. And
does anybody know Caroline? Does anyone phone and say they knew Caroline or her husband?
Yes, we've had one or two people phone from the past, particularly in connection with Gary singing in the band, and they prove interesting leads. Yes, very good.
And the date to remember once again is July the 29th last year, if you can help. Thank you.
OK, we've had some excellent leads in the armed raids in Guildford in Surrey. Remember what we're looking for. The police are still seeking these two men, or it could be the same man. This is the Crimewatch UK video fit. Now, if it was a wig and the sunglasses a disguise, well, maybe it is one man. Either way, he's in his 20s or his 30s, and this is the bike on which he got away after firing the 2 shots in Sainsbury's in Guildford. Now, do you know who owns it? We've had about 60 calls here in the studio. Guildford Incident Room has been jammed with calls. A woman thinks it was her bike. It fits the description. Her bike was stolen from somewhere in south of England. The police don't want us to say where. A man thinks he spoke to the robber outside a cinema on Derby Day. All the descriptions fit. The day is right. The time is right. And we've got a very good lead on who the gunman might be. That incidentally comes from a police officer, not a civilian. One of the values of Crimewatch, of course, is that police officers see things that have happened in other police forces. And the Guildford Incident Room is still getting a large number of calls. We'll give you more numbers at the end of this update. Now, do we have anything as a result of our incident desk? Chief Inspector David Hatcher and WDC Helen Phelps appealed for help on a number of crimes. David, let's start first on the Barclays bank robbery in Liverpool, in the Kingston area.
Yes, exciting news there. We've had 2 calls from entirely separate sources. Both corroborate each other and have given the officers an entirely new line of inquiry to follow. So that's what they're doing. Remember the video we saw? They caught the men actually in the process of committing the robbery. The £5,000 reward is something that should tempt you if you recognise the man on the video. I would think if I'd seen him, I would know him. And you can make £5,000. Remember, the robbers only made £2,000. Crime can pay you legitimately.
Obviously, he too could have been wearing a wig, who knows. Helen, what have we heard on the London rapists?
Many calls, most of them generated by people who recognise this knife, which, as you agree, is unusual.
Right, can we see the knife? Good. OK, well, we'll tell you more about that and give you numbers as soon as possible. Now, earlier this evening, we reported on 2 particularly vicious attacks on customers in pubs in the northwest. The first was at the Old Stanley in the Old Swan area in Liverpool. 2 men held 12 people for 2 tremendously horrendous hours that night, and they robbed and beat their victims. And they repeated the attack 10 days later at another pub, this time in Warrington town centre. Now, we've had all sorts of calls from this from all over the country, Bootle, Manchester, Runcorn, all from that area. A barmaid says she's recognised one of the photo fits. A very reliable source in the Wirral says it's triggered memories, and we've got a very good lead there and possibly a vehicle that was involved. DCI John Corrin, I gather you've got some important calls as well.
Yes, we have. One in particular from the Birkenhead area. A woman has rang in, believes it's a former neighbour of hers, and has given us some good information, which we're not divulging at this moment, but we're having officers investigating her information now.
This minute?
This time, now.
Right, thank you very much. So,
Well, finally, Superintendent Prickett of Bedfordshire Police had 2 cases to handle. What progress have you made in those? First of all, you made an urgent appeal for information about the Fox, the Bedfordshire rapist. Any leads on that?
Indeed, the response has been good. We've had a number of sightings of possible suspects. In fact, a number of people have rung to speak in confidence, and I would encourage people to do that, to ring the Dunstable incident room.
And you'll be following all those up straight away then?
We are indeed, yes.
Did you receive many calls on the silver robbery at Woburn Abbey?
Yes, we believe the pickaxe handle may well have been identified. We've also had calls from both members of the general public and from criminals who wish to make money by claiming the reward.
So is there any particular call you think might be genuine, that might be a claimant for the £100,000?
Well, I believe there may well be, yes.
And are you meeting anybody as a result of those calls?
We are indeed. In fact, one person is being met tonight.
And what about the pickaxe? Any claimants for that?
Yes. 2 people have rung and genuinely believe it is theirs. A number of other people have made suggestions. I'm hopeful one of these will prove positive.
So that sounds like a good number of calls.
Certainly it is, yes.
Good. Thank you very much. And our lines are now going to close down. In a moment we'll give you the local numbers for each of the crimes that maybe you can help solve. And if you don't get the right number down, if you can help, just ring your local police. The number's in the phone book.
And we're still getting details pouring in. We've just got something on the Moral murder where a lorry driver who thinks he picked up a hitchhiker who might have been the killer. He's just rung in. That's being checked out now. Now, thank you for ringing if you did. If you didn't, well, maybe you'll see something you recognise next month. Do sleep well. Let me remind you, despite that on Crimewatch UK we feature a lot of violent crime, it's actually probably much rarer than you think, and with your help, it'll become a good deal rarer still. Thank you for watching.
And remember, they'll be waiting for your call. Good night.
Good night.